This video is brought to you by BenQ Screenbar. BenQ Screenbar is a portable light that you can put on your PC to work late at night. It has different brightness modes and colors that will allow you to switch to your preferences. As someone that works a lot on my PC, that lamp really helped me against headaches that I usually get after staying in front of my PC the whole day. Get yours by clicking the link in the description. Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're going to talk once more about the tanks you want to be implemented in World of Tanks Blitz. I asked you on my Discord server for those of you to send me those tanks you would like to see in World of Tanks, and this is the result, so let's not lose too much time and jump directly into it, starting off with the ISU 130, which could possibly be a tank implemented at tier 6 or tier 7 as a premium, because I don't feel like this tank would be able to get into whatever tech tree line, maybe the Object 263 before the tier 7, but that would be a little bit awful as it seems, as it's extremely angled, that it would be way more effective than the current tech tree line, and we don't want better premiums than tech tree counterparts because we already have them everywhere. So yeah, with this tank, what we could expect if Wargaming wanted maybe to balance it is to put it a really good gun, the same as the one you have on the SU-100, so maybe 400 alpha damage, a really good mobility, as it seems like the tank is extremely dynamic when it comes to aerodynamics, and finally maybe not so much armor. Like, it would be the kind of tank that when it's running on the flat ground, it's easy to penetrate, but when it's angled and you use its probably 5 or 4 degrees of gun depression, because it doesn't seem to have quite a lot, would be able to actually bounce thanks to your armor being artificially increased by the angle you're taking your opponent from. But yeah, regardless, I think it could be a nice addition, and that tank, for those of you the most curious out there, you will be able to find it in War Thunder because that pick is taken from that game. So if you want to test it, you know what to do. The second tank we're going to talk about is obviously Russian, you guessed it by the little icon on the side of the turret, but let's say that it would be similar to the LT-432, the tank that is going to be implemented by Wargaming, so it's a Russian light tank. The main difference is that this one features a T-54 turret or T-54 lightweight turret, but the base of the tank is not necessarily the same. This thing right there would have a 280 alpha damage because the caliber is the same as the one you have on the T-54 lightweight. It would basically be the exact same tank as the T-54 lightweight, but premiums, and maybe even before being implemented, that tank is power crept thanks to the LT-432, which appears in test to be one hella broken tank. Obviously, the main problem regarding that tank is the gun depression, which doesn't seem to be quite a lot, but aren't we used to it when it comes to light tanks from the Russian tech tree? I think so, so maybe it would be a good addition to the game if it came before the LT-432, because nowadays, maybe if Wargaming changes the caliber and make it 310 or 350, that could be interesting to have a tier 8 light tank with 350 alpha damage. I don't see the point of implementing such a tank thanks to the LT-432 hitting the shop pretty soon. Next, guys, something that could be meant to be implemented as a tier 7 premium tank and quite similar to the AMX 3057, the Backlight Panzer. What I'm expecting that tank to be is basically an autoloader mechanism. Yes, it has some kind of an RPG, but we wouldn't mind about this. We're going to focus on the gun itself. It's a 57mm one, so the exact same as we have on the AMX 3057, and it could be an auto reloader featuring 3 shells. That's what this tank is in real life. I think it has like 6 shells in the auto reloading mechanism in real life, so yeah, we would have to lower it down a little bit in Blitz to feature the arcade mode, but yeah, 3 shells auto reloading with a really small amount of damage could be quite interesting to see, and I really wish Wargaming will actually implement an auto reloading mechanism on such a small caliber gun, but we will have to wait for Wargaming to maybe do something about it. Maybe it's gonna come, maybe not, who knows. Next tank, the B1TER, the upgraded version of the B1 Beast that we already have in World of Tanks Blitz. If that tank was implemented, it would necessarily be a tier 4, as Both the B1 Beast and the B1 TER are sharing the same gun. The main difference between both of them is that the B1 TER has a strong armor, a really strong one. Is it a good idea to add this tank? I don't think so, simply because the B1 Beast is already armored enough for it to be able to bounce quite a lot. It's the exact same for the Panzer B2, which is the premium version of the Panzer B1 Beast. But if Wargaming all of a sudden decided to add the B1 TER as a premium, it would completely ruin the tier 4 matchmaking, as it's basically impenetrable for most of the tanks you're gonna encounter. Only the high penetrating tank destroyers of that tier would be able to do something against you. Therefore, you would be completely overpowered. This is a tank you can find, by the way, in War Thunder. I did a video on it, and it's a premium, and obviously it's definitely worth it to check it and to buy that tank, which is amazing in War Thunder. Enough with the premiums, guys, it's time to talk about tech tree. I present to you the E85, which could be a really good alternative to the E100. In my best wishes, Wargaming would make the E100 a collectible tank and replace it with the E85. Let me explain to you briefly what this tank is all about. It's basically an upgraded version of an E75 when it comes to the hull, because as you can see there are quite a lot of similarities with it, with the front of an E50, so really strong armor, maybe a little bit more armor than an E50M, because here obviously it would be a super heavy tank at tier 10. And the lava turret. The whole thing is featured with a 50 centimeter gun, so it would be the exact same as the 100, but with an actual turret that could bounce shots. Because even if it's the lava turret, as it seems right there, we could be able to bounce more, as it's an over armored turret, lava turret, because obviously if you put the tier 8 lava turret on such a tank at tier 10, it would get completely crushed on its side armor, especially here or even here if you angle not so properly the tank. So it would be a really good alternative to the 100 that really suffers from getting penetrated straight into its turret with cold shell, and I would be glad for Wargaming to actually try some kind of a project with that tank. For the moment, it's definitely not something Wargaming is working on, but I would like for Wargaming to implement that tank and replace it with the 100, or replace the 100 with this tank. Let's continue with Tech Tree Tank, talking about tier 10 British tank destroyer, aka the FV4005 Stage 1. It's basically the exact same as the FV4005, but with a turretless alternative or something like that. And I don't necessarily think that this tank deserves to be implemented in the game. And if Wargaming does, they should make a lot of efforts to make it completely different from the regular FV4005. Because that tank has a 183mm gun. It has the exact same perks as the one you have already on the FV4005, so maybe it would be a good tier 9 premium if Wargaming lowered down the caliber. I don't know if that's how they are working on their different kind of tanks, but at tier 10, we could get this as a tech tree. But would it be different from the FV4005? I don't think so. But it could still be a nice alternative and one more tier 10 tank to be implemented in the game. That would be the perfect combination between the FV4005 mobility, and the FV183 gun. So you would combine both to have a really good mobility, no armor, but a really deadly gun. Maybe a little bit more accurate than the one we have on the FV183, but the problem is, if Wargaming does that, the FV183 is going to be completely outdated. So maybe why not removing the current FV183 by replacing it with this one? Who knows? Finally, guys, let's end on something totally broken that would definitely be a premium tank in this game, the Project X. This is something imagined by subs or some people from the forum, I don't know exactly who the idea comes from, which would be basically a T-22 medium hull mounted with an MK6 turret on the top. Therefore, you take two of the most broken tanks at tier 10, you combine them all in their strongest spec, and you end up with something totally broken. This tank would have a great mobility, a great armor, and obviously a great gun, which would make it completely broken. But just for the effort they made to make it look like it was a real tank in Blitz, as you can see right there, it really feels like the tank was implemented or it was actual footage from Wargaming. I guess it could be nice to see, Not nice to see that tank in World of Tanks Blitz, but nice to see that tank in this video at least. Maybe one day it will come, who knows. But for the moment, let's pray for it just to be mentioned in the forum, but never reach World of Tanks Blitz. Anyway, what did you think about that top, guys? What other tanks would you like to talk about on that channel? If you have any ideas of new Tech 3 tanks, etc., I could do more and more videos about that because I find it quite enjoyable to see different things from World of Tanks Blitz itself and to imagine the possibilities that the life and your imagination has to offer. Take care of yourself, be aware that coronavirus is out there, even if I think you already know it, and I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.